we're ready now.
Yep.
At this time, I'll call the April 25th, 2024 meeting to order for the Dickinson County Commission. Would you please stand and join in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Chamberlain is unable to attend today's meeting, so there'll be myself and Ron Roller here, and we need two to have a quorum, and so we can proceed with the meeting. The first item we have is approval of the agenda, and I believe on the compensation policy, we are going to remove that from the agenda so it can be placed on next week's agenda. And with that one change, there are no other additions. So with that one change, I'll move that we approve the agenda with that one deletion.
And I'll second it.
We have the motion and the second. Any question or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. The consent agenda includes the minutes of the April 18th meeting, also payroll of $397,623.07.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion to approve, and I will second to approve the consent agenda. Any other comment or question? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Commission comments, Ron?
Just real quickly, appreciative of the moisture we're getting. That sure settled some of the dust. I hope we get enough of it. And I hope it's not too bad of weather for everybody. So have a safe weather, in other words.
Okay. So earlier this morning, I attended a Military Affairs Council breakfast at Junction City, and it's just a community partnership with people in the Dickinson County area, Riley County and Geary County in attendance. And Phyllis Fitzgerald was the program, and she talked about the Society of the 1st Infantry Division that she is in charge of, but then also her boss from DC, Lieutenant General retired West was there, and he had been a commander back in 1984 there at Fort Riley. And so they gave some updates on that. Also this morning, we had John Holtgren in and gave us a report as far as some of the EMS statistical comparisons from previous years and from month to month for the first 4 months. And it's very impressive what they do as far as the ambulance and the time that it takes to arrive. I mean, they really, in fact, it's actually gone down by a few minutes. And of course, you know, a lot of that's the coordination that takes place when someone calls 911 and the whole process starts. And so it's quite a team effort there. And then also Jean Dietrich was here, and she was recognized with WIC. She has 36 years of experience with that. And she actually, along with her dedication, she shared a few stories and had mentioned over that 36 years, if I recall correct, she had 72 coworkers. And so she's been someone that has really stayed the course and been very dedicated and stayed with the county, and it's going to be continuing with the county, obviously. But and then she gave a couple of situations and some stories where people had come in and didn't think really it was an emergency type situation, but they came in and did some routine testing, and all of a sudden they would detect something that was very, very serious, and gave an example of one child that the blood pressure was extremely high. And so then she kind of waited a while and rechecked it, you know, make sure she had it right. But also, you know, is this young man a little bit nervous about all of this? And it was so high all 3 times they called the doctor, and he ended up having heart surgery, and everything went successful. But there was a valve that wasn't there that should have been there, and a narrowing of an aorta, you know, and here a 9-year-old that seemed very, very healthy. And, you know, to think that the steps that they took on a routine procedure, but having people come in, really saved the young man's life. And so anyway, I really appreciate the dedication that they have down there. Also, I'll just mention we had a conference this past week at Pittsburgh, and some of the things they talked about were some of the issues as far as budget is concerned, but also the challenges as far as workforce, childcare, housing, budget restrictions, dealing with some of the legislative type changes that take place at Topeka, but also back in DC, and the physical infrastructure. And so these were some of the challenges that were identified that counties face, the cities and communities in Kansas face. And but anyways, a very helpful conference, and they did have one speaker that I enjoyed. His football coach from Derby, and he used to play at K-State. And he got there, and they were having kind of a rough time with their football program, but he went ahead and said, we need to build some incentives and get people on the same page and create a culture of winning. But it wasn't just, he did win state eventually, they have a few times, but also it was building the character of the individuals in the school and on the football team. And so anyway, it was a good talk. And of course, then that translated, this is, counties, there's the benefits anytime you work together. You're going to have a better result. So that's all I have. A little longer than usual, but a lot of things going on. Mm-hmm. Did you have anything to add, Janelle, or you wait till your report?
You covered it very well.
Okay. So we'll go on. Before we have public comments, we do have a proclamation, and this would be for the Hope Center. And Lindsay is here, and you might be able to mention a few others that are on the board, but if you'd go ahead and step to the podium, introduce yourself. And
your official spot was. So,
yes.
Yes, I'm Lindsay Bremer. I serve on the board of directors for the Hope Center. There's several other people. I may not mention all the names. I'll probably miss somebody. But Glenn Shank is the chairman of it. There's several other community people that are on it. And the proclamation will explain some of the things we do. Mainly helping people in emergencies. That's what HOPE stands for. Our people in emergencies. And we have a whole house that sometimes an individual or a family can stay in temporarily as they get on their feet to get a job and those types of things. That's some basic things.
Okay.
Okay.
And Lindsay's used to a pulpit, so this is a podium.
Yeah, maybe.
That's for sure.
I will preach to you today. I promise. Okay, here's the proclamations. Whereas it is a long-held value in American life and a strong Kansas tradition to support one's neighbors in times of need, whereas ongoing efforts to balance state and federal budget and the resulting changes in programs to assist those in need continue to call for more involvement from the private sector to provide support and assistance to individuals and families whose circumstances may at times leave them without such basic needs of life as safe shelter, clothing, food, and medical care. Whereas the Hope Center was established in 1991 by persons from several organizations in our larger community to help our people in emergencies. Whereas the Hope Center has for 33 years brought together the resources of our community to serve our neighbors in times of need, seeking to fill the gaps between personal and family resources, assistance offered by governmental agencies, and aid available from other charitable organizations, while at the same time stretching available help by eliminating duplication of services. Whereas all citizens should become more aware of the needs of their neighbors, of efforts within the community to address those needs in a caring and responsible way, and of opportunities to lend their support to these efforts. Now, therefore, the Dickinson County Commission does hereby proclaim the week of April 28th to May 5th, 2024 as Hope Center Emphasis Week in Dickinson County, recognizing more than a quarter century of work of the Hope Center, and call all citizens, community agencies, religious organizations, and business to a greater recognition of the needs of their neighbors.
Okay. I'll go ahead and make the motion that we do declare this Hope Center as the 2024 Week of Emphasis proclamation from April 28th to May 5th, 2024.
And I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I'll sign this and you can have one for your records also. And we appreciate the work you do.
You bet. Appreciate you acknowledging it. So,
And I think there is there's a house for some temporary housing and
South Cedar that periodically some family individuals, somebody that's a single mom with kids will stay as they get their feet wet and or if they're get back on their feet and find a job or find a place of their own. Help a lot with like maybe rent possibilities, utilities, and a lot of the things, like some financial assistance, even people that are willing some training on how to handle finances better. Some of the things they do that we do. So, variety of things that are available.
so more than just helping, it's a hand up to help them kind of get out of a rut or situation.
Help them develop a system where they can get out of those. But that doesn't always happen, but sometimes there's some great success stories of people that especially use the Hope House and get on their feet and do well.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So at this time, we do have also opportunity, if there are any public comments that anyone would want to make, you could do so online, or you could step up to the podium and give your name and address. And we try to limit it to 3 or 4 minutes.
Rhonda does have a comment online, so
Okay.
she should be able to speak.
Yes, Rhonda, if you're ready to speak.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you now. So go ahead, Rhonda.
I've unmuted her.
We heard the part where you said, can you hear us okay? Or can you hear me okay? And we have you unmuted. You want to try again?
Well, let me see if she sent.
You could text us. Do you want to? We could have our IT person come up here and give another try.
Now I
are
can.
you-
There she is. There she is.
Okay, we've got you. Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. Rhonda Beaupre, 201 Northeast 8th Street in Abilene. Listening to your discussion in the work session about the policy involving employee remuneration, I wanted to bring up the that we, as commissioners, I know you would like to provide as many services as possible to the county. However, keep in mind, please, and try to balance that with the money that you are spending comes from the citizens. And we want to be sure that you are careful in how you spend it and keep us in mind that it comes out of our pockets. So I'm not saying you have to cut back necessarily, but try to keep a balance and keep it in mind that, you know, we don't want to see a massive wealth transfer from the citizens to the employees of the county. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, that's all I had to say. Just keep that in mind, please, in your deliberations of your policies and when the discussion comes up on the budgeting and so on, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And a little bit on Rhonda's comment, just follow up in our work study session. And originally on the agenda, we had to discuss the compensation policy. And we had a study from the Arnold Group to give us some recommendations and comparisons. And so on that policy, one of the things we wanted to consider, since Commissioner Chamberlain wasn't here today, that just to give us a little bit more time for that discussion, but also to have kind of hear some of his ideas too as part of the discussion. So, and part of the reason for considering this too is we're approaching the budget time where department heads, elected officials are making up their budgets. And so this will be part of a discussion for budget time on what it's going to look like in 2025. And so we're projecting ahead a little bit on that. Need to consider. So you may have something to add to it, or Marcus, either.
I think you covered it.
Okay. So as far as additional public comments, would there be anyone here that had any comments they'd want to make at this time? So we'll go ahead and move on to our report of county officers, and Janelle Dockendorf is our county administrator. So we'll hear your report at this time.
Commissioners, I'm glad you covered Jean's award. I think that's pretty awesome. And the fact that we have a long-term employee being recognized on the state level is a big win for us. And we'll have some more coming up. I know that. So the managers and elected officials participated in a cybersecurity exercise on Monday, and the feedback that I've received has been good. It's a little scary, but it's been good to get together and have those discussions. We'll try to continue that. We do have an open position in 911 dispatch, so we'll be advertising that here before too long. HR is working through a CAPERS audit, which is it's not always an annual process, but this year we were picked. Appraiser, the personal property notices are going to be sent out, and staff is working on the upcoming review of parcels, which is part of the annual maintenance that's required by the state. That's part of their job. The assistant county administrator in finance is working on budget prep, and he continues to do that with the managers and elected officials. We do have some good news on the bridge at 1145 First Road. The guardrail has been installed, and they will put the epoxy down next week. The weather's kind of put a hold on that for this week, but they'll get that done along with seeding the grass, and then we'll have the inspection from KDOT. The bridge at 1022 Old 40, the concrete was poured for the box, and of course, again, the weather is holding us back on some things, but they'll let that cure, and then we'll be able to move forward with that. And we continue to Durapatch and ditch clean, and the highway department is working on those items in preparation for the upcoming overlay project for this year. So that's all I would have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
No questions.
Okay, our county councilor, Doug Thompson.
Thank you. I wished I had Lindsay's ability, because on Sunday I go out to the prison and give the sermon that's out at Ellsworth this weekend on Sunday. I wished I had his ability to be able to do that. The other thing is that we've had one of our members, attorneys on the contracts, is ill, hospitalized, and waiting for him to make a recovery, hopefully, and be able to come back. So we've been filling in with him, and we're working on putting together a list of potential attorneys for the next year, in case there are some who want to get off the contract or it gets expanded in some fashion. So that's what we're working on right now. We're also starting to gear up for the paperwork that we need to for the next tax sale. And that'll be later in the year, but we're in the early stages of developing that paperwork. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. So on notices and communications. We did have a magazine that we had gotten. We received this from National Association of Counties, and just kind of explains what counties do, and is in a very easy read as far as a format, but it tells about every department that most counties typically have. So that's available for review. And I believe that's all I had. Is there anything else? Well, there is this from the Kansas Department of Health and Environment, and they notify us anytime there is a water pollution control permit that is in our area. And of course, here's some for Washington, Kansas, and Sterling, Garden City. So this goes throughout the entire state. So I'm assuming there probably is one for our county in here.
Last page, probably, Lynn, you know.
It's not on the,
It's not on the last page?
it wasn't on the last page. I thought it would. I'll do a quick look through here again. I recognize some of these names because some of these are pretty big farmers and ranchers in central Kansas and western Kansas. So a lot of times you see some of the same names. Well, this one involves Chapman Creek, and so that might be the reason for that. But we'll have this at the clerk's office, and it's available for review, or also just procedurally notifying us that the necessary steps have been taken. And then we did have a magazine for the Kansas Sheriff's Association, and one of your colleagues, Sheriff Scott Brown, is your president. So, okay. We'll move back to the agenda. The next item we have is a resolution. This is for the towing of vehicles from private property, and there were some changes with the state of Kansas on how some of this is designated and the procedure on it. Janelle, if you'll go ahead and give us some of the background, please.
I was approached by a local towing company and asked to have you consider a resolution. The state statute is changing some of the processes that he has to follow. And in essence, he needs a case number that he could be assigned, and we'll have dispatch handle that on our behalf to so he can pursue the opportunity to recoup some of his costs. We also set a maximum allowable towing and storage fees that they can charge. I looked at the resolution or the ordinance that the city of Abilene had adopted and followed that. So I've got Emily and Jerry here if you have any questions, and Doug as well. I don't think we have a great deal of problems with abandoned vehicles on private property that I'm aware of, and it's not applicable if there is a criminal case involved with this.
Different category. Okay.
Correct.
And basically, the other part, along with the towing, is the state assigns a case number. And so there's a little more documentation in place, which is always helpful.
Dispatch assigns the case number, but yes.
Okay. Are there any questions?
No questions.
I'll go ahead and make the motion that we adopt resolution 042824. This is a resolution pertaining to the towing of vehicles from private property and establishing the maximum allowable towing and storage fees to be charged by tow operators in Dickinson County.
It should be 042524. I've got the wrong number on there.
Okay.
On me.
Well, it's not. And, actually the other, and probably I'm sure most everybody's picked up on this, but the resolution numbers, the 04 is the month of April, the 25th today, and 24 for the year. So we'll go ahead and amend that to the resolution 042524. We still have the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. The next item we have, we do not have any unfinished business to deal with, but on other business, recovery court defense attorney agreements.
Commissioners, as you know, several years ago, we established a recovery court, and part of the team is the defense attorney. And we had a contract with Mark Guilfoyle to provide those services for us. Mark has since retired, and Doug is willing to take on this responsibility. He has been doing it for the past month and a half, probably, or so, and he's willing to take this on. So this is an agreement to provide those defense services for recovery court. So we would ask for your approval on that.
I'd go ahead and move that we enter this agreement to provide defense services for drug court.
And I'll second that.
Okay, I think Nell, we had it outlined pretty well, and thank you, Doug. Any other discussion?
I'm good.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. The compensation policy, we have taken that off the agenda. So the next item we will go to is the bid for electrical service at 547 1700 Avenue. And this is also where our greater shed is located.
Correct.
Area.
As you know, we are relocating the shed that is on 1400 Avenue to our property there on 1700 Avenue. It's a new building, and we need to have a meter installed for DS&O service. The bid we received was from Swenson Electric LLC out of Solomon in the amount of $11,750. There weren't any other vendors available to get the electric work done. So this is the only bid that we did receive. And Martin and staff have looked at it, and it seems reasonable, especially with the work that they need to do.
I'll make a motion to accept that bid for $11,750.
And I'll second it. So we have the bid, or we have the motion and the second to accept this bid of $11,750 for the electrical service at 547 1700 Avenue. This is from Swenson Electric. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item we have is for bids for the culverts at 1078 Camp Road.
Commissioners, as you know, the highway department is continuing looking for culverts to replace, and they've identified one at 1078 Camp Road. This is an 81 by 59 by 36 foot, 12 gauge corrugated aluminum coating culvert. It's a squash tube, and we received two bids from that. The first was from J&J Drainage in the amount of $5,307.20. And the second was from Contact Engineering Services for $8,310.60. So we're recommending the culvert from J&J Drainage at the 530720.
I'll make a motion to accept the 530720 from JJ Drainage Products.
And I'll second it. We have the motion and second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
We do not have anything else on the agenda other than adjournment, but it also should be noted that there was an election for USD 435 bond election, and to do the official canvass of that, and we'll have our clerk here, who is our election officer, to give us direction on this canvass. It said 11:45, but I think we could go ahead and do that.
No,
No,
it has to be
it's already-
11:45 since that's what was published. So we'll take a break.
Adjust the time. So with that, based on that information, we will have a canvass at 11:45, and it is open to the public to watch and observe. And how long do you think that canvass will take?
Not long.
I mean, probably 5-10 minutes or so. So on some where there's many, many votes and so on, it sometimes could be lengthier on a nationwide election or statewide election. So it sounds like it's going to be 5-10 minutes at max. I'll go ahead and make the motion then that we adjourn from our regular meeting.
I'll second it.
We have the motion and the second to adjourn. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We're adjourned.